All right, guys, welcome back in Slaughterhouse Sports. It is a Tuesday morning. It is January 30th, and we're going to discuss some NFL personnel news. We're going to start off with the Philadelphia Eagles out of the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles have made lots of moves. We're going to talk all about them. They hire an offensive coordinator. They hire Kellen Moore to lead this offense. Very interesting move by the Eagles. The thing is about Nick Sirianni is that Brian Johnson kind of came up under Sirianni, I guess, in the Eagles, within the Eagles program. And Nick Sirianni has always been around Frank Reich and Shane Steichen as offensive coordinators. Now he goes out and he hires somebody in Kellen Moore that has some West Coast background with Mike McCarthy and some Air Coryell offense with also Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett from the Dallas Cowboys. So, let's analyze Kellen Moore. I think that Kellen Moore is one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL. I think this is somebody that eventually is going to be a head coach in this league, especially if he stays at it. He's only 35 years old. He has led really good offense. So when we look at the Cowboys and Kellen Moore, he was a young offensive coordinator there, and statistically, their offense did pretty dang well. The problem is that he was actually too aggressive. He was young, he was very, very aggressive. He was calling a lot of pass plays. And then last year with the Chargers, I think Kellen Moore also had some experience, with Justin Herbert. Keenan Allen had one of his better seasons. So schematically, Kellen Moore knows how to dial it up. Now, his time with Cooper Rush, I think, was very, very helpful. His time with Mike McCarthy was helpful because it showed him that sometimes to win games, you actually got to throttle back the aggression in some spots. Like, in some spots, you got to throttle back the aggression. But really, Kellen Moore, I think, has only been an offensive coordinator for like the last 3 years. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to verify again all of his stops in the National Football League, and we're going to view all of that. So with the Philadelphia Eagles, though, in particular with Kellen Moore, he's going to add to their offense. He's going to add to their offense because he gives Nick Sirianni a lot of expertise. I mean, this guy has pretty much been a coach on the field all of his playing career. At Boise State, he was the most winningest quarterback in college football history. This is somebody that's never had the physical gifts to be an NFL star, but he got the most out of his ability. And that explains why, sometimes you could be a great coach, because sometimes the best players that, just have incredible physical God-given abilities, a lot of times as a coach, they have trouble relating to people that can't do what they did. All right. But Kellen Moore also was, in the process, the Dallas Cowboys saw something in him to make him a quarterback's coach at, I believe, like 30 years old. So he has a great ability to communicate. He sees the game well. He's somebody that has been drawing up plays for a very long time, stemming back to when he was a kid. And I just think that he can really, really see the game. I think that he'll also create some new schemes for the Philadelphia Eagles. So for Nick Sirianni to go outside of his tree, go outside of his comfort zone and hire Kellen Moore, I think was very, very critical in the process. And it also explains to Sirianni and also to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman, it's going to give them a new set of eyes. And I think that they're going to learn from Kellen, and Kellen's going to learn from them, because the one thing that Sirianni's going to help Kellen Moore at is he's going to help him with situational football, and that's where Sirianni's really, really great. He's awesome at using his timeouts. He's great at knowing the style in which to win a football game. He analyzes that well, and Sirianni has pretty much won at every level, especially as a head coach. So Kellen Moore from 2019 to 2022 was an offensive coordinator, so he's been 4 years as an offensive coordinator. In college, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the history of college football. All right? Two-time first-team All-American player from 2009 to 2010. All right? And he also played in the National Football League. He played in the NFL from 2012 to 2017. He was around Matthew Stafford. He was around really, really good quarterbacks. He'll help Jalen Hurts in this offense. The key with this offense is you got to give Dallas Goedert the football. You got to create easy ways to get Dallas Goedert the ball, your tight ends. You need your running game to be really successful. The Eagles should probably draft another running back in the third round, and they're going to need a replacement for Jason Kelce. I guess Cam Jurgens is probably going to be the center. I think that would be the best thing. You start getting Cam Jurgens, chances with snapping the football. I think he can be a great center for the Eagles. Then the Eagles also have to look at, Lane Johnson's going to be in his mid-30s, but Lane Johnson is going to be somebody that can hopefully play for you another 3 years. But really, this Eagles team is still a win-now ball club, especially in this NFC. The Eagles, if they can run the football and create really high percentage throws for Jalen Hurts and they slow the game down, their offense did their defense no favors last year. They turned it over too much. They became way too pass happy. They need to be a balanced offense. They need to be almost a run-first offense. And then, A.J. Brown can, catch 5 catches for 80 yards. And if A.J. Brown's going to pout, then you're going to have to move on from A.J. Brown. That's honestly the case. You have to analyze that in the offseason. All right? Devontae Smith seems to be somebody that is bought into, his role. And sometimes to win a football game, you're going to have to win it by keeping it on the ground. Jalen Hurts didn't seem healthy. He didn't run the ball really at all. So he's going to need to run the football at times. So Jalen Hurts is making a lot of money. That's hard to build a roster around a quarterback that's going to be making like $55 million a year. It's just hard to spread out those resources. But, the Philadelphia Eagles, I really liked what they did. And then they hired, on the defensive side of the ball, they hired Karl Scott, who's a cornerbacks coach, who's one of the best in the league. I mean, Karl Scott, and you look at Seattle, Tariq Woolen has been somebody that was a 5th-round pick, a 6'3" cornerback. He's turned into one of the better cornerbacks in the league. I know that Sean Desai came from Seattle, but what is Pete Carroll's specialty? It's cornerbacks. It's cornerback play. So Karl Scott, 38 years old, I believe that he can be a head coach in this league too. So I believe that this staff is turning into an excellent staff. I mean, last year with Brian Johnson, Desai, and Patricia, they did not have the staff that they're really looking for. But Karl Scott from Houston, Texas, spent some time, Tusculum College, southeastern Louisiana, really has risen through the ranks. And then he was at La Tech in 2015, Texas Tech defensive backs, was at Alabama from 2018 to 2020. Believe Minkah Fitzpatrick might have been alongside as defensive backs. So he got to learn from Nick Saban from 2018 to 2020. All right, so he's a star in this league. Then was with Minnesota, D-backs in 2021, and then of course with Seattle. You look at Witherspoon from Illinois, who was a top 5 pick this year. All right, he was amazing in his rookie season. He was one of the best rookie defensive players in the league. So I'm going to get you his name really on the Seahawks. It was Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. Okay, Devin Witherspoon, a just a terrific young player who brings that physicality. And then they got Karl Scott, and then they also, because Seattle is getting a new coaching staff, Clint Hurtt as a defensive coordinator did very, very well. A guy, I believe, in his 40s, Clint Hurtt, as a defensive coach. Clint Hurtt, really, really good with the defensive tackles, okay? Somebody that worked D-line for a really long time at the college level, okay? And then was with Vic Fangio in Chicago, which is where all of that blends, all right? So, and then, defensive line coaches. So Karl Scott combined with Fangio, they're going to create just great scheme. And finally, the Eagles are just going to have a tremendous coaching staff. And if Hurts plays better as a quarterback, they're really going to have an opportunity to win this division. Darius Slay is probably still going to be on the roster, but they're going to have to replace Bradbury. The Eagles need a lockdown corner in the first round of this draft. The Eagles need to somehow find a cornerback. That's what the Eagles desperately need, because Bradbury and Slay are not good enough. Avonte Maddox is always hurt. Linebackers and they need to shore up the back end, because Jordan Davis and eventually Jalen Carter are going to help contribute. Hassan Reddick is also going to contribute along this defensive line. Milton Williams is going to be fine. So the D-line is the strength of the team. I mean, their personnel defensively is not fantastic, but through a year of drafting and maybe free agency, they can maybe get some better players on that side of the ball and can compete. So I really do love the additions to this coaching staff. Defensively, I think Fangio can be pretty solid, but adding Scott and adding Hurtt, Clint Hurtt has called a defense for the past, I want to say, he called the defense last year. All right, so Clint Hurtt has had some success as a D coordinator, and now he's literally going to be working as a defensive line coach, back to his roots with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. He's going to get the most out of this talent. So the Eagles are maximizing their coaching staff. All right, I think they're doing a great job.